Last time, your dog wasn't just staring at your food. They were doing something most owners completely misunderstand. Not casually, not randomly, but with that intense, unblinking stare that feels almost calculated. You pause mid-bite, and there they are, completely still, watching every movement like it actually matters. And the strange part is, no matter how many times it happens, it still works on you. Because something about that look feels impossible to ignore. The truth is, your dog isn't just begging. It's a deeply evolved psychological trigger designed to bypass your logic and go straight for your emotions. Stay with me, because once you understand what's really happening inside your dog's mind, you'll never look at that stare the same way again.
Before we begin, here's a quick note. There may be incorrect spellings because I am using altered content to share my experiences and ideas.
You see, when your dog stares at you while you're eating, it's not just hunger driving them. In fact, studies from the University of Portsmouth found that dogs have actually developed specialized facial muscles over thousands of years, muscles wolves don't even have. One of these muscles, called the levator anguli oculi medialis, allows your dog to raise their inner eyebrows, creating that soft, almost sad expression that feels eerily human. And here's where it gets really interesting. That tiny movement triggers a response in your brain that's almost identical to what happens when you see a baby. Your oxytocin levels rise, your guard drops, and suddenly, sharing your food doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like something you have to do. But this isn't manipulation in a negative sense, it's adaptation. Thousands of years ago, when dogs first began living alongside humans, the ones that could communicate with us more effectively had a survival advantage. The softer their expression, the stronger the bond, the more likely they were to be fed, protected, and kept close. So over generations, your dog didn't just learn to live with you, they evolved to influence you. Now this is the part most people never realize. Your dog isn't just staring at the food, they're studying you. They're watching your body language, your eye movement, even the rhythm of your eating. Research shows dogs are incredibly skilled at reading human micro-expressions. They can detect the moment your attention shifts, the second your resolve weakens, the exact instant you might give in. And think about it. How many times have you told yourself, "I'm not going to share today," only to break seconds later? That's not coincidence. That's communication. Stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you changes everything about how you see this behavior. There's also something deeper happening on an emotional level. When your dog stares at you, especially in a calm, focused way, it's often a sign of trust and connection. Eye contact between dogs and humans has been shown to increase oxytocin in both directions, not just in you, but in your dog as well. In a 2015 study from Japan, researchers found that when dogs and their owners gaze into each other's eyes, both experience a hormonal response similar to that between a parent and child. So in that moment, when your dog is staring at you while you're eating, they're not just asking for food, they're reinforcing a bond. And that's why ignoring them feels so difficult. It's not just about resisting a begging dog, it's about breaking a moment of connection. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Not all stares are the same. Sometimes your dog's stare is soft, relaxed, almost patient. Other times it's intense, fixed, impossible to ignore. That difference matters. A softer gaze often means your dog is simply hopeful, curious, engaged with you. But a more intense stare can signal learned behavior, a pattern that's been reinforced over time. In other words, if you've ever given your dog food while they stare, you've trained them to do it again and again and again. Dogs learn through association faster than almost any other species we interact with daily. If staring leads to food even once in a while, their brain logs that as a successful strategy. And from their perspective, why would they ever stop? But here's the emotional side most people don't talk about. Sometimes your dog isn't even that hungry. Sometimes they just don't want to be left out. Think about it. Eating is a social activity. In the wild, animals eat together. It's a shared experience tied to safety and belonging. When you sit down and eat, your dog sees you engaging in something meaningful, something communal, and their instinct says, "I should be part of this." That's why they don't go to their bowl. That's why they come to you. In just a moment, I'll show you something that will completely change how you respond to this behavior, Because the way you react to your dog's stare actually shapes your relationship more than you think. If you always give in, your dog learns persistence pays off. If you always ignore them, they may feel confused or disconnected. The key isn't just saying yes or no, it's understanding the intention behind the stare. When you recognize that your dog is communicating, not just begging, you start responding differently. You become more aware, more intentional, more connected. And that's where the real shift happens. Because suddenly it's not about the food anymore, it's about the relationship. There's a moment every dog owner has experienced. You're eating, you glance down, and your dog is already looking at you. Not moving, not whining, just there, waiting, trusting, connected to you in a way that doesn't need words. And when you understand the science behind that moment, it stops being annoying and starts becoming meaningful. Because your dog isn't just trying to get something from you, they're trying to share something with you. A connection that's been evolving for thousands of years, refined through emotion, instinct, and trust. And once you see it that way, that stare doesn't feel like pressure anymore. It feels like communication. So the next time your dog looks at you while you're eating, pause for a second. Notice the expression. Notice the intention. Because in that quiet moment, your dog is telling you something. And now, you finally understand what it means. If this helped you see your dog in a new way, you can stick around for more, because there's a lot more your dog is trying to tell you. You just haven't learned how to hear it yet.